Land of Opportunity from 2018. Took a walk to the local park, looking for an empty bench. In solitude and not the hordes of homeless cluttering up my day and taking all the seats. Found a bearded old man, more dignified than the rest, sitting at the end of the bench, leaving me a space to be alone and undisturbed. But when I settled in, he stood and started to preach. Homeless sleeping in the arches of the church, children protesting murders in the schools, in the streets, teachers marching for funds, while overdoses filled the alleys. He wore an old tattered coat and looked directly at me, breeding billionaires in droves as workers at Walmart go on the dole, oil production at new highs, and the dreamers are full of fear. I wanted to run away, but there was a tremor in his voice that made my legs weak. In my old home, we darkened the room with curtains and padlocked the windows from inside, blocking the storms of misery in the street. But we made a mistake, turning on the news, letting doom beam in, which swept me out under the doorway into the streets of reality, killing the hope of salvation brought by the royal crusaders who carried the story of what is. The touch of crazy I had expected, now in full view, but my eyes asked the old man of what story he spoke. It is the story of America the greatest. We spread it in the schools between the killings and to the defective in the alleys, and beam it into the houses, completing the circle of denial, turning away the reckoning and the poverty of our souls, and the salvation that comes with the truth. They say we live in the land of milk and honey, pinned to the few that now rise, avoiding the truth of the fallen many. Then his voice dropped to a whisper as he edged closer. We cling to what was and send the military out to boost our pride and blame the immigrants for our fall. I found it hard to believe as the preacher looked to the sky and cleared his throat. We made a country of the haves and have-nots. The masses of the have-nots we ignore when we tell the story of America the greatest, the land of opportunity. We have become the ruler of the enslaved, the lowest class of peasants, bound by the endless sea of debt, and left them interests to feed their children. I caught a sniff of his clothes, dank and sour, as he knelt beside me. Pray with me, my friend. Let us take part of the blame for this world we have made. Forgive me, Lord, for taking more than this earth had to give and killing much life not called man, for giving lip service to my health and giving my children all but my time, and measuring my worth by the height of the pile bought with money I didn't have. Forgive me, Lord, for all my taking that I did not need, while I neglected the homeless and failed to love my neighbor as myself. As I knelt with him to hear the fate of America, land of opportunity, I shouted in my head, "What has gone so wrong?" I heard a small voice, so faint it seemed but a thought. How you care for the weakest and how you lift the fallen has defined your country and determined its fate. I raised my head to ask him of where I should toil, and would he come with me to make believers of us all? But there was no old man to be seen. Instead, I found an old coat, dark, dank, and sour, folded neatly beneath my head. Row 24, April 2018.